Assalamu alaikum, namaste, good morning, sat sri akal, yali madad, game cho, ya Allah madad, and welcome to Sunday's edition of Zeeshan on air, right here on FM 103.5 FM, and all over the multi-streaming social media platforms like YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter Live. So I welcome you all. This is Zeeshan Isaac, running for Commissioner, Precinct 4 in Fort Bend County. And first, I would like to start with today's topic. And for the past several weeks and months, and in various community events, as well as during the campaign trails, I've been meeting with wonderful people right here in our Fort Bend County, and especially in Precinct 4. It's the same precinct where Constable Nabil Shaikh got elected last year. And it's the various neighborhoods and vicinities in Sugarland. So if you live in the same precinct, you will be eligible to vote, obviously, next election, which will be next year in March, or I'm also hearing could be, pushed forward to May. So we'll see, and we'll continue to keep you guys updated. My name is Zeeshan Isaac. I'm running for Commissioner, Precinct 4 in Fort Bend County, and there are a lot of key issues, obviously, as a commissioner. There are a lot of responsibilities, from budget management to short-term to long-term planning, to setting the tax rates with other commissioners, and at the same time improving the infrastructure as well. At the same time, also ensuring that the constable works with other departments of the precinct and Fort Bend County, for example, the Justice of the Peace, or the Sheriff's Department, or the Constable Office, or the Public Works, MUD, which is the Municipality Utility District, or LID, which is the Levy Improvement District. So all these MUDs, LIDs, and the various departments, and the emphasis and the focus obviously is to continue to serve the constituents of Precinct 4, and obviously leading from the front. It's very important. So that's where my experience comes into the picture, because I've been with corporate America for so many years, over 20 years now. It's 21 years now. I've been married to a remarkable wife, and we raised a teenage boy right here in Fort Bend County Precinct 4, where he went to elementary school, middle, and high school. And I am aware of the issues. I'm a lifelong Democrat. At the same time, when I was thinking and looking at all these various aspects of politics locally and nationally, obviously, it was something that came as a discussion point in my own mind, and then when I sat down with my family, that it is time that I also serve and give back to the community, and public service is a sacred duty. So that basically was something which I've been talking about for decades, and professing or communicating and discussing with people from all different walks of lives, that we've got to get involved in politics. We've got to involved in terms of giving back to the community, and at the same time working with our local government so we can improve it. So I've been talking about it, but then I thought, okay, well, this is sort of like a double standard, that I myself am involved, but I'm not running for public office, and I've not run for public office for so many years. So I think it's about time that this is where I've got to be very open and candid, and being forthright with everyone. So I decided that, okay, I will run for public office, and I sat down with my family, and then rest is history. So this is where, again, it is a great, humbling experience, a wonderful experience, where I'm meeting with all different kinds of people, wonderful people. They ask good questions. They are concerned about Fort Bend County. They are concerned about COVID. They're concerned about economy. They're concerned about running their businesses. They're concerned about their job. They're concerned about sending their kids to school and whether they should get vaccinated or not. Many are obviously are focusing on getting vaccinated, but then there are so many Delta variants, especially the Delta variant that has come out, and there's Lambda variant as well. So we are all in this together. and then the local government works very closely on a day-to-day basis. So this is very important, where we make sure that we work together. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that, hey, we work together, and then not only together but also work in terms of ensuring that how can we improve our quality of life. So that's where the idea of putting together a priority list, campaign issues, when I've been talking with so many people, and I compiled that list, and still that list is growing. And then I have a blog as well on zeeshan.com, and people who can watch me on YouTube Live or Facebook Live or Twitter Live, they can see that. And that is where I want to make sure that everyone go to my website, and they basically ensure that what are the priorities. So one of the priority is the aspect of ensuring that how can we improve and work to improve our infrastructure. And infrastructure is not just working on improving our roads and bridges, very important, but also from a technology perspective, that how can we have a state-of-the-art technology. So that's one of the key priorities as well. And I'll talk a little bit about, for example, as we look at various departments of the Fort Bend County. So we also know that, hey, what about ensuring that our departments have the equipment, resources, and even the various tools that they need to perform their jobs. One example is giving body cams, for example, to the deputies and the law enforcement officers, and then hiring even more officers and ensuring that we have the infrastructure there. When the ceiling of the Annex 4 building is collapsing, that means we are not being proactive in investing in improving our infrastructure. When we also know that, for example, the funds are not being leveraged from the proper departments and from the proper sources, then that is also an issue. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we work with those departments, we work together, and we improve and focus and prioritize and put a plan together. So the investments are made. So when the body cams, for example, it was the right thing to do. We have to purchase body cams because we have to protect the members of the society and our law enforcement. But the body cams are purchased from CAT funds instead of going to the state funding and federal funding, which basically is available. So we have those type of situations where we want to make sure that the responsible thing to do would have been to go to state funding and federal funding. That's how our tax rates basically go up. So we ensure that we do all of this together and be transparent, obviously, with the know that, yes, this is how we're going to make sure that our infrastructure is at the level that is providing the proper tools, resources from a buildings perspective, from the bridges perspective, from the technology perspective, all of the above, all these areas are we recognize this, that $157.42 million, when that draft of the budget was passed without getting input from the, I would say, from the voters, from the citizens and residents of Fort Bend County, and it was passed with all the commissioners voting together, and the only dissent that came was from the county judge. And it was reported in Houston Chronicle, Houston media, Houston public media, and local newspapers in Fort Bend County as well. That is where we want to make sure that there's transparency, because we wanted to know how that money will be spent. And it came from the American Rescue Plan Act, which I'm all for it. Biden administration released those funds, and $157.42 million, that's a lot of money. I managed $250 million as a director at American Express, so I know we can do a lot with $157.42 million, because the discretion was at the county level with how American Rescue Plan was passed. Because previously, last year, when the CARES Act was passed, the discretion was at the state level, because it was up to the governors and the state that how they would like to spend money. And there are many local officials, even the county judge is on record to say that they didn't know where that money was spent. So now this was an opportunity when $157.42 million were given to the county, to Fort Bend County, that the commissioners, they have to be very forthright and be very open and involved. They should have involved the community to discuss and should have informed everyone that this is the plan, and seek input, get their feedback, get their public comments, our public comments, right? So we know how we're going to spend the money. And this is where the problem is, in terms of we have to transform. We've got to make sure that when we are getting millions of dollars, then from an infrastructure perspective, we should level with everyone that this is how we're going to invest. So everyone knows that together we are going to go in the right direction, and ensuring that that money will be spent wisely, intelligently, and on projects that will benefit and help build the future and improve our quality of life. So infrastructure is critical component of that. When we don't know how that money will be spent, we don't know the budget allocations, that how much will be spent on infrastructure and so on and so forth. So we obviously have a lot where we want to make sure we continue to work with everyone, with our local officials, and with the community, and with the constituents. And that's where I bring that positive difference with my leadership, because I've been trained with managing, and I was trusted with and continue to be trusted managing millions of dollars and key important projects. So I would like to earn your trust so I can improve our quality of life and work to improve our infrastructure and transform, so we can have the right infrastructure, proper infrastructure for our Precinct 4 and for our Fort Bend County. And that infrastructure just it just doesn't mean that it's just the buildings and the roads and bridges. Yes, it's part of the infrastructure, but also technology, improving our technologies. We have a state-of-the-art technology. We have the right applications, right systems, where when day-to-day activities are occurring between our constituents, with our citizens, with our residents of Precinct 4 and Fort Bend County, and those transactions are happening, we are ensuring that we also scale and we build for the future. When we know that the Fort Bend County will continue to attract hundreds and thousands of people in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And there are reports out there where this will obviously increase by 2-folds and 3-folds and even more. There are various reports are out there when they do those type of strategic plannings, and even on the Brazos project, where we have to improve our levees and ensure that there's no flooding and things like that. That's also part of our infrastructure. So I want to make sure that we are all aware of these issues. We are working toward building our future in Precinct 4 and Fort Bend County, and ensure that we continue to invite the right people, the experts, and then even folks from our county who may be disenfranchised, or maybe they are not paying too much attention because they think that, well, this is just same old politics. So I want to paint a very bright future, a very hopeful future for all of you, whoever is listening to me right now, that, hey, it's all up to us how we chart our destination, how we chart our journey, how together we work toward building a better future for ourselves and for our children and our children's children. And that's where leadership with passion, compassion, and with the transparency, with the being truthful, and I will always level with you. So infrastructure is a key priority, and I have all the various details about the infrastructure and how I will set up the learning centers and the excellence centers that will engage, educate, and empower our business community and our non-business community in Precinct 4 and Fort Bend County. And I would like to make sure that together with all of you, we build a model, an exemplary precinct and county for the nation. And together we can do that. And together we can certainly make this as a model for other precincts and counties to showcase that this is what we did. And that's it's sort of like become a case study, like they publish it in Harvard Business Reviews. So I'm hoping that when we do things the right way and demonstrate progress, demonstrate leadership, demonstrate how the local government is working for us, that's is basically music to my ears, music to everyone's ears, music to it's exciting. It's where our youth will be engaged. This is where we will ensure that the learning centers provide the tools and resources to even make our future leaders and involve them in learning the various mechanics and understanding the mechanism of how the commissioner office can play a significant role. And that happens when you lead from the front, when you engage and the community is with you and all different people from all different walks of lives and cultures and faiths. They work together with a unity of purpose, so we continue to improve our infrastructure and transform, so we can ensure that, yes, the infrastructure basically has to improve. And when our Annex 4 building ceiling, when that collapsed, when the constable office, when they were operating during the winter freeze, they didn't even have a generator. And when I was attending and continue to see different commissioners court meetings, and those are all public meetings, right? And now we have a video recording, so anyone can go and see those recordings where we are spending $100,000 there, $200,000 there, 150 here and there, and 5,000 here, and I'm not questioning that spend as well, although we should be questioning all of that. But they are obviously going through the process and they get approved with voting in the commissioner's code. But we cannot purchase a $10,000 or so generator for our constable office when they were operating 24/7. They still operate 24/7, but during the winter freeze, when they operated without a generator. So people who are protecting and serving us, who's going to protect them as well? So this is the role and job of the leadership, of the folks who are representing us, who we elected. And whenever there's time for elections, then they come back, make those promises, and then they go back and we see they don't deliver. And when they don't deliver, that's where we see these type of issues, that the Annex 4 building ceiling is collapsed, and that did collapse. A lot of people didn't know about it. I was also surprised to see and hear those type of issues. So we have those issues, right? How is it possible that Fort Bend County, and one of the affluent counties, and we get so much tax, that the Annex 4 buildings ceiling is collapsing? So the Annex 4 buildings ceiling collapsed, and then when the constable office, they are operating 24/7 during the winter freeze and they don't have a generator to work with, that is an issue. That's a problem. That means our focus is somewhere else. That means we are not looking to improve our infrastructure. And then obviously, I didn't even talk about technology, but you know that technology is also part of the infrastructure. So these are some issues, and there are many issues. And when you go to zeeshanishaq.com, zeeshanisaac.com, then you will see that yes, we want to make sure that our infrastructure is at a level where it should be. And that is where our community deserves better, our citizens, residents, everyone, not only in Precinct 4, but also in the entire Fort Bend County, because it's a very big county. So I have that vision. I have this big vision where I get this opportunity every week on Sunday between 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Sundays, where not only on social media platforms through YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter Live, but also on this radio station, FM 103.5, Hum FM, from my dear friend Rehan Siddiqui and other patrons who basically has enabled and provided this platform to all of us. So we can share these ideas, we can discuss, and I can bring that vision to all of us, to all of you. So we work together, improve our quality of life. That's what I'm fighting for. And I am ensuring that infrastructure is something that we've got to make sure that our infrastructure is at a level that is a model and look as the model for other precincts and counties as well. And when I say that, for the entire nation, and we can make it happen. This is where when we have the right leadership and at the same time working with the experts and the citizens and residents, constituents of the county, of the precinct, then we can make sure that it will work. And it will work because when you have the right leadership, that's how things get done. And when I'm hearing, and when we all hear that, oh, Annex 4 buildings ceiling, the ceiling in Annex 4 building, that has collapsed. When we hear that, oh, the constable office, they are operating, serving us 24/7 during the winter freeze. The constable office of Precinct 4, they are serving us, but they are serving without a generator. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. We live in the United States of America, folks. We are not in some country which is a developing country. So it is really, really upsetting and sometimes sad as well. And I am leveling with you, because when you talk truthfully, when you speak with honesty, with the and with this candor, then obviously truth is bitter, and that is a reality. So we've got to make sure that why are we not investing properly in our infrastructure? Why the constable office didn't have the generator to work with and to begin with, right? That they should have all those tools and resources. And even as part of the infrastructure, we want to make sure that the constable office, they also have the right number of deputies to serve, because that is also part of the infrastructure to ensure that we have the right amount of security and right amount of resources and tools given to the residents of Precinct 4, because I'm talking about Precinct 4. So very important issues, and I cannot emphasize this enough. And I know when I'm talking with the voters and people in my precinct, Precinct 4, that's where I'm running for Commissioner Precinct 4 in Fort Bend County. These are the issues, and unfortunately, we don't see leadership. We don't see people who are doing their jobs. We don't see people who are obviously taking our precinct to the next level. And how do we take that to the next level? By ensuring that we are proactive. We don't allow the ceiling of any building to collapse under our watch. period. I mean, when you are in office, the buck stops with you, wherever you are, because at the local level, this is how the governance structure is in our country. Because we are empowered at the local level to make our decisions. We're not going to go to the state level and ask our governor, oh, this is what's happening in our precinct or in our county. Anyone in the great state of Texas, in our Lone Star state of Texas, we are empowered. And that's where we have 250 plus counties in the state of Texas. Because this is how the governance structure is, that at the local level, we make our own decisions. We have the funds now. The Biden administration allocated $157.42 million. But when the commissioners code and the commissioners, they're getting together and they are not informing and telling our constituents, our residents, our public in the county, in Fort Bend County, how they're going to spend $157.42 million. This will have repercussions. This will have an impact in the next 3 to 4 years. So we've got to make sure that we hold them accountable. That's why last Sunday and in previous weeks as well, accountability was one of the key priorities that I discussed. And my 3 key priorities are accountability, infrastructure, and emergency management. We are in the hurricane season. So obviously, we will discuss emergency management as well. I've discussed it in the past. And all these key priorities are listed on our website, on my website, and that's zeeshanisaac.com, Zeeshanisaac.com. So infrastructure is also one of my key priorities, like I mentioned. So today I'm discussing infrastructure, but I'm painting this picture and trying to share my vision so we know that this is where Zeeshan stands. A politician and a leader. I discussed about the differences as well. A politician always thinks about the next election. And one example of that is how all these 4 commissioners, and I have respect for all these 4 commissioners, but they voted together for $157.42 million, where the only dissent vote came from the county judge that, hey, we've got to make sure that the public comments need to be involved. And that didn't happen. And they didn't stop there. And I'm quoting Houston Chronicle and the local media and Houston Public Media and other local Fort Bend County journals that these 4 commissioners, they voted together. And they also allocated $2 million budgets for their own pet projects, because we are not naive. We all know that next year is the election. So yeah, let's, focus on people's short-term memory and just, try to obviously do this as a quid pro quo, and that's quid pro quo voting. So now let me just switch gears. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had Constable the mutual task force between the law enforcement at the local level, at the constable level, and the constable's office, right? And then the U.S. Marshal's office. When this agenda item went to the Commissioner's Court just a couple of weeks ago, then the 2 Republican commissioners now are voting against this mutual task force with the local law enforcement deputies and the constable office working mutually in this mutual task force to combat and tackle violent crime with U.S. Marshal's office, so they can go and arrest those individuals and gang members where they have issued warrants, where they have committed violent crime. So that's the right thing to do, right? But now those 2 Republican commissioners, they voted against this agenda item. And the precedent has already been set when other constables, they went to the Commissioner's Court. They didn't see that kind of situation, or I'm paraphrasing, are available to us through the US Marshal's Office as well, right? So again, a situation where this is where one party who in fact talks about law and order, and now we have this opportunity to make sure that, hey, let's vote for it. Ultimately, it did pass with a 3-2 vote because Democrats have a majority in Fort Bend County. But this is where we know how the Republican commissioners voted, and they voted against this agenda item to tackle violent crime. They voted against this mutual task force working with U.S. Marshal's Office and the Constable Office and deputies so they can tackle violent crime. It's out there. It's something that did happen. It's a reality. It's a fact. And I'm sharing that with all of you. So it's incumbent. The onus is on these two Republican commissioners to explain to the public, to explain to their constituents, to explain to Fort Bend County residents and citizens and everyone in Fort Bend County that why they chose to vote against this. Now, rewind or go in a couple of weeks, or not couple of weeks, several months ago, when these two Republican commissioners are also voting, with other commissioners on that $157.42 million budget, where it is quid pro quo, right? Because they will get $2 million pet projects as well to work on those projects. This is how, people at the ground level, people like you and I, they are raising those questions and they are asking themselves, and we are all asking, what is going on here? And that's where people lose faith in politics. And that's where I say that when the right qualified candidates, people who basically have done their homework, people who have demonstrated their leadership in private sector as well, and delivered and obviously demonstrated that they can achieve milestones, they can deliver those results, because we all know in the private sector, if you don't perform, they will fire you. We all know in the private sector, if you don't perform, you will get fired. We all know in the private sector, when you are not performing, then obviously you will have performance issues. So why is it that the most important responsibility and duty, which is to serve public and being a public servant, being an official who is serving the constituents to various, obviously, communities, why is it that we don't see accountability? And we discussed that, and I discussed that previously as well. But this is where we want to make sure that whenever there's election, we hear all these promises, but once people go into the office, and I'm telling you right now, and I'm advocating, and I'm sharing this very openly, that the same level of standards should be applied to me as well when I will be elected with your vote, because we've got to keep our officials honest, and you will keep me honest as well, because this is where, when we don't involve people, and we are busy in our lives, we are busy with our jobs, with our situations dealing with COVID and so much going on. This is where people do not pay attention to politics. We do not have all the facts. And when we don't have all these facts, that's where, the politicians, they just deflect. They don't answer the question directly. And that's the problem in terms of not being forthright and not showing leadership. So I have respect for everyone, but this campaign is about the campaign of ideas. This campaign is the campaign of issues. This campaign is about the campaign of ensuring we stay true to facts and to the ground realities and how we can improve our quality of life. And I will do that. And this is where I'm asking for your vote as well. And I know that we all want to make a difference. And the way we can make a difference is when we elect qualified individuals, people who are running for office. We have to look at their history. This is the first time I'm running for public office. And a lot of people have told me, hey, Zeeshan, you're running for public office and you have a great shot at this. And at the same time, obviously, we all work hard, but we don't know what the result would be because we work hard. The result is always with the Almighty God, Almighty Allah. And we just make efforts, right? Because we do not have the control on the results because that's how elections are. So here's what I would tell all of you, and it's a reminder for myself as well. Yes, I and myself and everyone, we will continue to work hard. But at the same time, let's be smart about this. I'm a lifelong Democrat, right? But at the same time, we want to make sure that why is it that we have created this sort of an environment, not only at the local level, but also at the state level and at the national level, that we have these career politicians who have spent their entire life on career politics. That's also something that I am asking ourselves this question, and this question is on many people's minds. It needs to change. We need to have a culture in our homeland, in our country, where everyone should come forward and serve. And that's how we're going to improve, because we get fresh blood, we get fresh ideas, and we should make sure that we continue to elect people, yes, who are delivering, continue to re-elect those who are delivering, continue to re-elect those that are focused on resolving the issues and working for the future, and they are delivering. But why do we then have to re-elect those who are not performing? Why do we have to elect or re-elect those who basically make empty promises? This is where I obviously want to make sure that we ask those questions and we raise the standard for ourselves and for our children's future and our children's future, because we are all in this together. And it's not difficult, folks. It's all about leveling with people, working hard day in and day out, and working smart. It's not about, oh, I hear from some people, oh, Zeeshan, public service is difficult. Yes, I know it's difficult. But if you're having, if you're second guessing yourself or you are getting tired, then let others, to come forward. Obviously, that's a separate issue. But this is also a reality of life that, when we work hard, we are all humans as well. But that's where passion comes into the picture. That's where the energy and the positive energy comes into the picture. Because when we have negativity, when we have obviously the whole aspect of diverting people's attention from real issues, deflecting, that's what politicians do. They divide and conquer. But when you have leadership, a leader will not get tired. A leader will never show any kind of what you call a hopeless situation. Never. A leader will always level with us. A leader will also share truthfully, but at the same time suggest solutions, or will involve the right experts. So together with the leader, we find the right solutions. Because I may not have all the answers. No one is, as smart or intelligent as Albert Einstein. And even Albert Einstein also worked with the talented and intelligent people. So the right solutions can be found for a problem. And that's what life is all about. You face challenges and you then figure out a solution together. That's what leadership is. And you have got to plan and then plan for the unplanned as well. That's where emergency management comes into the picture. But today's topic is infrastructure. So I've shared a lot of things. You can see that I always try to share truthfully. I level with you. I will continue to be like this when I get elected with your votes. And just like how corporate America has trusted me with millions of dollars of budget and with key responsibilities, I would like to earn your trust. I am asking for your trust so I can go and make a positive difference as your commissioner in Precinct 4. So we improve our quality of life and we make Precinct 4 and Fort Bend County an exemplary and model precinct and county for our entire nation. That's what I intend to do. And I know together we will do this. Yes, we can. And that's where I am sharing all my ideas and my vision. And when I'm talking with so many wonderful and great people in our precinct 4 and in Fort Bend County, I know that these are the issues and talking points that people have in their minds, and they want to see a great future, a better future. We have been in this pandemic for over 18 months now, almost 2 years, are coming up, and who knows, how long this will continue like this, because obviously we are hearing about Delta variant and Lambda, and a lot of people have not been vaccinated either. And then even the Fort Bend County and the county judge, they have elevated the threat level for COVID, because a few weeks ago, like I shared on this program as well, that Judge Lina Hidalgo already raised the threat level for pandemic for COVID in Harris County, and Harris County is right adjacent to Fort Bend County. So I'm not surprised, and I knew that it might happen, and it did happen. But I didn't want to jump the gun, or would basically wanted to just say that yes, it might happen right away. But this is also part of our infrastructure. Now we've got to make sure that what kind of infrastructure are we going to build, that if 5 years or 10 years from today there's a different kind of a pandemic that we may see, or we have to live with, then do we have the right infrastructure in place at the local level? And this is where we have to plan. We have to do the short-term planning and then the long-term strategic planning, and plan for the unplanned as well. The problem these days is that we always focus on so many issues and fighting out fires. We don't get a chance to look and plan for the future. Why? Because we don't plan the unplanned. And this is where leadership is all about, that we have to figure out how are we going to cope up with different type of situations and build infrastructure so we are capable of dealing with all different sort of issues and bringing in technology as well, because a lot of businesses, they have gone bankrupt. Why? Because they didn't have the right infrastructure, they didn't have the right tools and technology in place where they could have operated by allowing their workers or employees to work virtually. Obviously, restaurants is a different business. I mean, you can't run a restaurant virtually, but think about the curbside pickups, think about the catering, think about delivery, and that model that was enabled through technology, right? When we have all these different apps and various types of services being provided by the private sector, we have Uber Eats or DoorDash or what have you, right? And the technology enabled it, and those restaurants, they survived, and they in fact did okay and maybe better than many other restaurants, because they used technology and invested in the infrastructure. So I'm using this example at the local level as well. When we at the local level, we, from a local government standpoint, we invest in the right infrastructure from a technology perspective as well, then we are capable of, even when there are some type of shutdowns or what have you, we are still operating. We are still functioning as a society, and is still getting the job done. And this pandemic has obviously provided the opportunity to think forward and have this forward thinking to ensure that we invest in infrastructure properly, not just from improving our roads and bridges and obviously the levees. Those are all important, and I will ensure that those projects are also going forward, and we obviously are working with all the vendor partners and suppliers and engineering companies and what have you, and the public works department that we have in Fort Bend County. So those projects are making progress, and those suppliers and vendor partners have the right resources, and they're getting the right leadership and guidance from the local government as well. So they continue to deliver what they promised as well, based on those contracts that they have signed with the precinct and with the Fort Bend County. It's important, and that's where it's a tough job. It's a job where we have that vision, where I have that vision that I will make sure that we continue to make progress on Brazos project as well, and improving our levees, and we don't have this flooding issue that we saw in Sugarland and in River Stone and various subdivisions in other areas as well, in Aliana and then obviously in Missouri City. Some areas of Missouri City also come in Precinct 4. There's a not a big area, but it's still considered to the entire Fort Bend County. It's a sizable or a small area. So Precinct 4 obviously is is basically a place where I've been residing for over 10 years. I've been in Fort Bend County for 20 years. I'm aware of our issues locally, and then we want to make sure that we invest in our infrastructure. Now, very quickly, I would like to also share a community update, and again, people who have just joined me and listening to me on FM 103.5 FM, and thanks to my dear friend Rehan Siddiqui and our patrons that I get this opportunity to share my vision and share my ideas, and we provide this public service, and I'm working to ensure that I improve our quality of life in Precinct 4 in Fort Bend County. This is Zeeshan Ishaq, running for Commissioner Precinct 4. I'm a candidate for Commissioner Precinct 4. That also, please go to the website zeeshanishaq.com. Now, from a community update perspective, this weekend, this Friday, I attended a press conference with the community members and friends and leaders who gathered to stand with the family of the shooting victim, Uzair Qazi. He's a son of Mr. Khalid Qazi and nephew of Dr. Mazhar Qazi. And I said this to the local media, Channel 2, KPRC, and other local media as well, who was there at the press conference, that we obviously are standing together with the family of Uzair Qazi, son of Khalid Qazi, and ensuring that we have an independent and thorough investigation. And at the same time, I also would like to appreciate and applaud that I was informed that our DA office and DA Brian Middleton, they are working on this case. So everyone should remain patient and wait for the official updates from the DA office as well. I'm confident that justice will prevail in the end. At this time, we should pray for the speedy recovery of Uzair, who is still in the hospital, and may Allah give him full recovery and shifa. Ameen. And this press conference occurred with the family and friends, along with the community leaders, who appealed to everyone to pray for the quick recovery of Uzair. And they called for justice for the shooting victim, Uzair Qazi, son of Khalid Qazi and nephew of Dr. Mazhar Qazi, who was shot by his neighbor, an ex-police officer, on Sunday, August 1st. For questions about this press conference, obviously you can contact the individuals and members of the community and leaders who basically organized this press conference. But I went to this press conference because I want to make sure that together as a community, we are standing up for justice, number one. And we are calling for independent and thorough investigation. I am confident that our DA, Brian Middleton, who has worked tremendously in the past, and even with the Lisa Torrey Smith Act, that basically was the act and the law, and he and the DA office worked tirelessly and work with the state representatives and state senators to pass the law where anyone who is in the crosswalks will be prosecuted, and it will be a felony if someone gets injured in our crosswalks, because that's how Lisa she lost her life. And obviously these are tough situations, and and areas where we focus not only to seek justice but also look at, and I said that at least this next statement that I make, and I said during the press conference as well, that I do not want to make this a political statement, but our gun laws, they have to change, because we have gun laws in our country where we see shooting happens, and at the end of the day, the laws are written in a way where people continue to seek justice. And this is where I'm emphasizing and also saying this, that we all have to remain patient. I was blown away, and what the kind of patience that Mr. and Mrs. Khalid Qazi have shown throughout during this difficult time. And they showed their courage and resolve, and I call this true grit, where they remain patient. But obviously it's their son, Uzair is their son, so we are together with them, and our thoughts and prayers are with Uzair Qazi, and I'm hopeful that he will get justice, and I'm also very hopeful that he will get full recovery, inshallah, God willing. So I wanted to share this with you as well, that we are living, in a time where so much is going on, and we also have our lives, but at the same time, we are all humans, and loss of life, or any loss of life, and any injuries that obviously puts anyone at harm is something that, when we talk to the families, it's just a very, very difficult situation. And it's about humanity, and at the end of the day, we are all part of our society. We are a close-knit society, a close-knit community. There are people from all different cultures and faiths. They live together, and we should work together to build a very peaceful and harmony society. And this is where we should continue to work with our folks who can make a difference, at the state level and at the national level in Congress, where we have the right laws written, and right laws where we continue to protect ourselves and also protect the individuals or people who need protection. And at the same time, I'm all for Second Amendment, because it's our right to be gun owners, right? I am a gun owner myself, but at the same time, gun ownership comes with responsibility. So I don't want to say more about this case, because it's an active investigation. So I'm just sharing all this that has already been public, and I would urge everyone to not rush to judgment and conclusion. Let the authorities gather all the facts and evidence, but at the same time, there are people who basically are very upset, and they are asking for justice. And I completely see the situation where we have seen it in the past, in George Floyd's case as well, when even I have so much respect for law enforcement, and at the same time, they have to do their jobs. But in this case, it's an ex-police officer. So I just want to make sure that people recognize this, that yes, it happened in Sugarland, but the situation is with the ex-police officer. So having said that, we want to make sure that the law enforcement, they continue to do their jobs, the authorities, they continue to do their jobs, and we have laws in this country as well. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with Uzair and with his family and Mr. and Mrs. Khalid Qazi. So please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. I would like to switch in Urdu and Hindi now before I wrap it up. There's a lot of people, they understand Urdu and Hindi as well. So, Assalamu alaikum, namaste, good morning, sat sri akal, keman achen, kem cho, ya Ali madad, ya Allah madad. आप सबको मेरा सलाम आदाब. मैं हूँ ज़ीशान साक, मैं कमिश्नर प्रीसिंक्ट 4 के लिए इलेक्शन लड़ रहा हूँ. आई एम अ कैंडिडेट फॉर कमिश्नर प्रीसिंक्ट 4. आज का टॉपिक है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, जिसके ऊपर मैंने बात की, जिसमें ख़ास इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है सिर्फ रोड्स एंड ब्रिजेस ही नहीं बल्कि टेक्नोलॉजी भी है. और जब एनेक्स 4 बिल्डिंग की सीलिंग जो है कोलैप्स होती है, जब हम देखते हैं कि जो कांस्टेबल ऑफिस है उनके जो डेप्यूटीज़ हैं, जब विंटर फ्रीज आया था तो बगैर जनरेटर के वो ऑपरेट कर रहे थे, तो ये बहुत बड़ा मसला है. क्यों ऐसा हो रहा है? तो कमिश्नर जो होता है वो लीड करता है फ्रॉम द फ्रंट और हमें प्रोएक्टिव होकर पहले से ही वो हिफाजती तदाबीर और वो एक्शंस लेने चाहिए कि भाई सीलिंग जो है एनेक्स 4 बिल्डिंग की कोलैप्स नहीं हो रही हो. जो हमारे लोग हैं जो हमें प्रोटेक्ट और सर्व करते हैं, उनको कौन प्रोटेक्ट करेगा? उनके लिए जनरेटर पहले से खरीदा जा सकता है. तो ये सब चीज़ें जो होती हैं लीडरशिप के साथ होती हैं. और मैं आप लोगों के वोट, आपके एतमाद के साथ, जिस तरह मुझे कॉर्पोरेट अमेरिका ने मिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स के बजट के साथ वो ट्रस्ट दिया, एतमाद दिया, मैं आपका एतमाद और ट्रस्ट जो है यहाँ पे लेना चाहता हूँ. आपका किसी भी कम्युनिटी से ताल्लुक हो, आप जो है मुझ पर ट्रस्ट कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि सबको साथ लेकर मैं यहाँ पर चलूँगा. और दैट्स व्हाट लीडरशिप इज़ ऑल अबाउट. और यहाँ पर एक और अहम चीज़ जो मैंने शेयर की कि टेक्नोलॉजी ये भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का हिस्सा है. कि रेस्टोरेंट बिजनेसेस जो हैं टफ बिजनेसेस हैं, लेकिन आपने देखा कि जिन्होंने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर टेक्नोलॉजी वाइज अच्छा रखा, वो कोविड के दौरान, इसके पेंडेमिक के दौरान भी आप देख लीजिए, थ्रू कर्ब साइड पिकअप्स और केटरिंग, उसके थ्रू अच्छा बिजनेस करते रहे, सर्वाइव किया उन्होंने. डिफिकल्टी हुई लेकिन हमने देखा कि किस तरह टेक्नोलॉजी इस्तेमाल किया गया. तो इसी तरह लोकल गवर्नमेंट पे भी टेक्नोलॉजी को जो है वो हमने अच्छा करना है, इम्प्रूव करना है. टेक्नोलॉजी इज ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. फिर यहाँ पर आखिर में जो कम्युनिटी अपडेट मैं शेयर करूँगा कि खालिद काजी साहब, मिस्टर एंड मिसेस खालिद काजी, उनके बेटे उज़ैर जो है उनको शूट किया गया 1 अगस्त को एक एक्स पुलिस ऑफिसर ने शुगरलैंड में. ये जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन है ये अभी एक्टिव इन्वेस्टिगेशन है, ये जारी है. और मेरी दुआएं हैं, नेक तमन्नाएं हैं उज़ैर के लिए. आप भी दुआ कीजिए कि वो जल्द से जल्द सेहतियाब हों, रिकवर हों, अल्लाह जो है उनको शिफा दे. और इस डिफ़िकल्ट टाइम में जिस सब्र का मुजाहरा किया है खालिद काजी और मिसेस खालिद काजी ने, मैं बहुत यानी कि देखकर मुझे बड़ा यानी कि खुशी भी हुई. और यानी देखकर एक माइंड बॉगलिंग एक ऐसी यानी चीज़ मैंने देखी कि अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अल्लाह ने उनको कितना सब्र दिया है. और मैं सबको ये कहूँगा कि हम उनको जो है इस मुश्किल वक्त में उनका साथ दें, प्राइवेसी भी दें फैमिली को, और रश जजमेंट कंक्लूजन पे ना अभी जाएं, क्योंकि मुझे मालूम है कि हम सब जो है बड़े ऐसे मोड़ पे खड़े हैं कि अपसेट भी है, फ्रस्ट्रेशन भी है. लेकिन ये एक्स पुलिस ऑफिसर का है केस, और क्योंकि डीए ऑफिस जो है जिनको मैं बड़ा सराहता हूँ, उन्होंने कहा है, और ब्रायन मिडल्टन ने, जिससे पहले बड़े अच्छे अच्छे केसेस भी उन्होंने रिजॉल्व किए. अलीसा टूरिस्ट एक्ट, जिस तरह पेडेस्ट्रियन जो है उसमें कोई अगर आ जाएगा पेडेस्ट्रियन क्रॉस वॉक में, तो वो फैलनी उन पे हो सकती है, इवन अगर किसी को इंजरी कर दी. और ये 1 सितंबर से जो है ये हो जाएगा एक्ट जो है इन्फोर्स या होने वाला है. तो इसको आप चेक कर लीजिए. तो बी केयरफुल, और सबको हमने बताना है. तो ब्रायन मिडल्टन जो डी ऑफिस है वो इन्वॉल्व है. और साथ में मैं यही कहूँगा कि इससे पहले भी हमने देखा कि इवन जब पुलिस ऑफिसर्स जो थे वो इन्वॉल्व हुए, तो उसमें भी लॉ है. तो गन लॉस को हमने देखना है, जो हमने अपने स्टेट रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स और जो कांग्रेस में लोग हैं उनसे हमने काम करना है. और अमेंडमेंट, सेकेंड अमेंडमेंट जो है इसके मैं पूरे फेवर में हूँ. आई एम फॉर सेकेंड अमेंडमेंट, मैं खुद गन ओनर हूँ. लेकिन ये है कि हमें इन लॉस को भी देखना है और साथ में एट द सेम टाइम मिलकर काम करना है. तो मैं उस प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में गया और मैं शोल्डर टू शोल्डर खड़ा था फैमिली के साथ. और मेरी दुआ है कि वो जल्द से जल्द सेहतियाब हों और हम सब मिलकर जो है کام کریں. اور جس طرح میں نے آپ کو کہا کہ جو آج کی پرائرٹی انفراسٹرکچر جس کا ذکر کیا ہے اس کو آپ zeeshanishaq.com پہ بھی جا کے دیکھ سکتی ہیں. اور یہ کی پرائرٹیز ہیں. الیکشن نیکسٹ ایئر مارچ میں ہوگا یا پھر مئی میں کہہ رہے ہیں, پر انوالو رہیں اس کیمپین میں. اور میں شکریہ ادا کرتا ہوں ریان صدیقی کا اور ہمارے جو پیٹرنز ہیں ان کا, کہ ان لوگوں کی جو ہیلپ اور سپورٹ, ہمارے جو پیٹرن ہیں ان کی وجہ سے, پیٹرنز کی وجہ سے اور ریان صدیقی کے ہم یہاں پر آتے ہیں اور میں یہاں پر آ کے اپنا ویژن آپ کے ساتھ شیئر کرتا ہوں. تو ایف ایم 103.5 اور ہم ایف ایم, ان سب کو ریان صدیقی اور پیٹرنز کا شکریہ. اور آپ سے نیکسٹ سنڈے انشاءاللہ ملاقات ہوگی اسی فریکوینسی ایف ایم 103.5 پہ. بہت شکریہ. خدا حافظ, اللہ حافظ, اینڈ ہیو اے سیف سنڈے.